Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here coming at you with the final video in the Platinum Trophy Guide for Dark Souls 3. Hopefully these guides have been helpful or informative of how to just progress through the game and just get as much done in your first playthrough, and then so on until you only have the last thing left to get, which should be the rings or just getting all 3 endings of the game if you don't feel like cheesing it in your first playthrough. By all means you can do that. But as of now, we're going to talk about getting all of the rings. Now, for the most part, I'm only going to be talking about getting the +1 and +2s for the base game, not any DLC, as you don't need those for the trophy. So as of now, you should have most of the base rings. There are some specific ones that just require you to do certain things, like talking to Hawkwood after beating the Abyss Watchers, or, the one from Orbeck for buying like almost all of his sorceries and then talking to him. Rings like that. I will leave a link in the description for a exact, guide for all of the rings or the Extra Life setting. So this video is just going to be about getting the +1 and +2. Now I am in New Game +2 or your 3rd journey, so just to make this as easy as possible, and all we're going to be doing is going and finding all of these +1s and +2s. And so the first one that I actually have to show you is here in Farron Shrine after Udex. There's 2 of them that you can grab here. So the first one is right here, right outside the door. It's the Wolf Ring +2. And then if we actually run all the way back, we will then get the next one. Try and speed up this process, or depending on how long it takes, it shouldn't take long to get to it. But for the most part, this video shouldn't be too long, as just knowing where most of the rings are will be very helpful. And I'm going to try and do this in a linear pattern from either going the left or right branch as soon as we get to High Wall. So the next ring that you can find is over here in the Crystal Lizard area. It'll be up here immediately on the right. Right here. Speckled stone plate. And then we can be done with that. And move on. Alright, so from the High Wall, or the second bonfire on the High Wall of Lothric, we'll find our next 2 plus rings. They're fairly close to each other, as in they're basically in the same area. So the first one is going to be over here on this roof that you can jump to. So if you actually go at the right angle, you can make the jump. And we'll grab the Fleshbite ring +1. Now do note there are a bunch of rings that only have +1s. And then the next one that we're going to grab is going to be down here where the Estus shard is. So if we actually come down here, like we're going to grab the Astoria Straight Sword. You can come down here. And come back over into this corner. And grab the ring. I'm probably dead. Yeah. But that would be the Evil Eye ring +3. +2, I can't entirely remember. Alright, so from the Dancer bonfire, we'll just head up like we're going to go fight Osiris, and we'll grab our next 2 rings that we can find. They're fairly close to each other. Hidden, but not too hidden that you wouldn't, like, find them, I guess. We'll need to have the elevator up. Just re-ember so we have maximum amount of health. Try and avoid having to fight this guy if we can. Now if we come down the elevator, it's much easier I think if we grab the first one up here a little bit tricky to grab, but you can do it. So if we drop down here, and then we run and jump, or just run off, we can get the Sage's Ring +2. But then if we actually come down here where the elevator takes you, if you come back behind it, you'll find the Wood Grain Ring +1. So now we're going to move on to the Untended Graves. Alright, so from Champion Gundir's Bonfire, you can find the next 2 rings inside Firelink Shrine. The first one will be the +3 life ring, and then the +1 Ring of Steel Protection. For some reason my recording messed up and I accidentally tried to share play, so I'm going to have to come back and show you guys. Now, the rings will be there for you since I accidentally picked them up and the recording didn't work. So I'm just going to show you. The first one is right here behind Lothric's throne right here. And then the next one will be up and to the right by the tower, where you'd normally go to get the Firekeeper soul. So if we come up and around, we'll find it. And it'll be up over here on the right, as you'll see right here. So now we can move on. Alright, so the next 3 that we can grab are here from the Dragon Barracks Bonfire. The first time you come here, you can actually cheese past the dragons as they're waking up to make it to the area to reach the foot to stop them from being any more of a nuisance. But there are 3 rings in total in this area we can grab. The first one being right up here and off to the left. Come back here, we can drop down and find it, as it'll be right below us, right here. Life ring +2. So now we can return back to the starting area, so I'll see you there. Alright, so the next 2 that we can grab are slightly similar, but they're off to the left now. A lot of circling around for these rings, as you can't just grab them in multiple succession, like you grab one and then can go grab the other. It's basically just a bunch of looping back around. So from here, you're basically just going to want to make your way to the Dragon Slayer armor boss. We'll activate the shortcut while we're here just to save ourselves some time in case we mess up. But the first one you can grab that I recommend is this one over here, because it drops down. Drop down here, roll inside, come in here, and it'll be on the right. Grab the dark stone plate ring, and we can then drop down, repeat the circle, and end back up near the Dragon Slayer. But this time we'll be taking a right. Do be careful of this Lothric Knight. Luckily, if we get him to just buff over and over again, it's easy. But now if we come over here to the right into this building, we can head off to the left where the red Tearstone ring is, which will be on our right, but instead we're going to come down here, drop down, slowly of course, and then back over here is where we'll find the ring. Thunderstone Plate ring +2. So now we can move on. Now from here, we're actually going to be going off to the right path, so Undead Settlement, so I will see you all there. Alright, so here in the Undead Settlement, from the Dilapidated Bridge Bonfire, we're going to start the first of 3 rings that we're going to be grabbing here. First one is going to be, sorry, over here in this area, off to the left, behind a hidden little well. And the next 2 are going to be in the optional area where we chill out with Seekward. So we just avoid all of these enemies and come back over here to where this little well is, if we come behind it, we'll find our poison bite ring +1. Alright, so when you're up here right next to Sigurd, do not roll down immediately. If you actually turn around, you'll find the life ring +1 right here before we head down and go and find the next one. If we come down here, ignore the demon, just head into the building, we'll then be able to find the next ring. Gave him the old slip. Basically, if we come out and around like we're going to go get the Flynn ring and the Chloranthy ring in the base game, you'll see, come around here. Do be careful as these evangelists do hurt, like I've said before. But if we come up here and actually come back around over here, we can actually drop down to find the next ring on this roof. Be the Silver Serpent ring +2, and now we can move on to the actual Road of Sacrifices. Alright, so from the Road of Sacrifices, we're going to grab the one and only ring here. So if we come down here, you'll see that dude on the right, and if you come over here and drop off to the left carefully, we'll find the ring. Chloranthy ring +2. So now we can move on to the Crucifixion Woods. Alright, so from the Road of Sacrifices bonfire, if we actually head down here, we come right here, we'll find the next ring. Lingering Dragon Crest, and we'll now be on our way to Farron Keep or Cathedral of the Deep, your choice. We'll go to Cathedral of the Deep. Alright, so from the Cleansing Chapel bonfire from the Cathedral of the Deep, if we head up to go to see Rosaria, we'll find the first of 2 rings that we can find here. The other one is much easier as it doesn't require a lot of sidetracking, as it's right before the boss room. I'll show that when we get to it, but the first one can be found up here, fairly close to the area that we're already at. So if we come over here and drop down, we'll see the enemy that it's hiding behind. So if we come over here and find this big boy, we'll find the Ring of Favor +2, and then the next one will be located behind the giant altar before the Deacon's boss fight, which I will skip to now. Alright, so as you'll see, the Deacon's boss room, and if you turn around, you'll find the Ring of the Evil Eye +1 right here. Alright, so from the Farron Keep bonfire, if we equip a dagger and head all the way over here to the right, we will easily find the next ring. We'll see it right there. Magic Stone Plate Ring +1. And now we're actually going to swap over to the second bonfire in Farron Keep. Alright, so from the second bonfire, we're actually going to backtrack the way you come. So if you go back across the bridge and hook a hard left and follow this path around, rolling through all these wooden structures, you will find the next ring back here, the Dark Stone Plate Ring +2. And then if we come back to that bonfire, we will then find the third ring that you can find in Farron Keep off to the left. Right here, the Wolf Ring +1. So now we can move on to the Catacombs of Karthus. I'll see you all there. Alright, so here in the Catacombs of Karthus, we will find our next 2 rings. The First one is across this bridge and off to the left. Do be careful, as it is a little bit of an annoying fall to do, but you can simply just walk off and we'll find our ring of steel protection +2. I'm now going to actually head down to that bottom right area where that skeleton's chilling at, and I'll see you there. Alright, so now as you'll see, we're down here. We can make our way onto the second ring found in the catacombs. So if we make our way around, we'll easily be able to run straight to the ring, as it's right here. The Thunderstone Plate Ring +1. Woo! Alright, now as you'll see, we're at the Demon Ruins bonfire, as you can hear by the giant worm outside the room. We can grab our next two rings here, found in Smoldering Lake. First one is going to be in that secret room with the hidden Black Knight in it. We'll just follow the path here. Do be careful of these flaming fireball orbs that can home all the way down here. That is ridiculous range. But the first ring can be found here in this back little area right here, as you'll see. And we'll get the Flamestone Plate Ring +2. So now we're going to move on to the next area. I'm not going to fully run there, I'm just going to skip once I'm in a safe spot, but it's going to be at the ballista. So if you keep following this path around, you will eventually get to it, but I'm just going to show you where the ring is located at the giant ballista. Alright, now as you'll see, we're here at the giant crossbow, and if you come around here on this right side, you will find the ring, the Bloodbite Ring +1. So now we can move on to Irithyll, which actually has 4 rings for us to grab. So I'll see you all there. Alright, so the first ring that we can grab is from the Church of Yorshka bonfire. So if we follow this path and head down like we're progressing normally, we can grab the first ring, which is the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring, found in this little sewer area here. So if we drop on down and go out like we're just going to normally, and then come out through this right here, we will find the ring right here. And then the next one will be from the Distant Manor bonfire. Alright, so from the room that you find Sigurd in, if you actually come out here and follow the path like you're going to go fight Pontiff, we will then find our next ring. So coming out here, run past the Silver Knight and it'll be off to the right. Right around this corner here, as you'll see right here. The Woodgrain Ring +2. I'm going to deal with this guy first before we move on to the next one. So the next one will be just outside of Pontiff Sullivan. I do recommend grabbing the shortcut before we go and get it, just to be on the safe side. So I'll see y'all then. Alright, as you'll see, I'm outside Pontiff Sullivan's room. If we actually drop down here, not like we're going to grab that ring, but down below we'll find the next ring, the Chloranthy Ring +1, the lower counterpart. Now the next ring can be found in Pontiff Sullivan's room after you've beaten him and are up in the second area just above. So I'm going to skip to that now. Alright, now as you'll see, we're inside Pontiff's room after beating him and we're upstairs. So if we come over here and come to this back area, we will find the next ring hidden behind this little area. Pretty hard to find if you aren't looking or using a guide for it. So the next one we can find is actually at Anorlando, or actually where we find Yorshka. So I'll see you all there. Alright, so the last ring that we can grab is here in the tower where we find Yorshka. So if we drop down, you'll slowly discover all these items to grab. Painting Guardian Sword, then the set right here, and then just below that is where the ring is. So we'll see it's the Havel's Ring +2. So now we can move on to the Irithyll Dungeon, which is basically got nothing except for one, but they're more or less profaned capital, so you can just skip to the profaned capital bonfire, which I'm going to do, just to show you where the two items are. So I'll see you then. Alright, so from the profaned capital bonfire, if we actually go ahead and go to drop down as if we're going to go get the keys and free Carla. Actually, there's 3 rings. The first one we can grab is down here. Almost forgot about this one. If you actually come down right here, you'll find it. Magic Stone Plate Ring +2. One of those rings that you kind of forget about until you get to the area. It's a good thing I remembered. And then the next 2 we can grab are going to be in this area. So if we take the normal path, as if you're going to try and progress as normal as possible, we can find the next ring. In a very familiar area. So if we come up here onto the roof, we'll find it. So if we come around here, as you'll see, there's a little roof we can drop down onto, and we can find the ring right here. And then the next one is actually fairly close, as it is actually in the shortcut area that leads all the way back to the Irithyll Dungeon bonfire. It's why I say that they kind of have one, but it's more or less profaned capital before you get any of them. So if you come up through like normal, you can run through and find the next one. So if you see, we come in here and we'll ride the elevator up, and as you'll see, the ring is actually right here. Covetous Serpent Ring +1. So now we can actually move on to the final area, more or less, or final 2 areas, I should say, which will be the archives and then the Archdragon Peak. Do note that for Archdragon Peak, you will have to beat Nameless King in New Game +2, but he's actually quite an easy boss if you have the same setup that I have, as this is easy weapons. But now we're just going to skip to the Grand Archives, move on from there. Alright, so as you can see here, we are in Archdragon Peak at the Great Belfry Bonfire. If you come out here and single-handedly defeat all of these enemies in combat, it'll make your life easier to come and try and grab this ring, because trying to risk your life over and over again is not worth it. So if you run in here and immediately on the left, we'll find the ring. It'll be the Havel's Ring +1. And then from here, we can work on grabbing the next ring, which will be down this way. Now, I've already defeated the Nameless King, so that's why this area is all nice and opened up for me. What's this? Ah, an EMBER. Of course. But the next ring that we can grab here is the Covetous Gold Serpent Ring +2. This is normally supposed to be the last ring I think you're supposed to objectively find and get, as it requires you to beat the Nameless King, which is supposed to be the 2nd or 3rd hardest boss in the actual game. But you'll find it right here on this corpse. It is the 3rd or 2nd stair, however you want to look at it. Now we can move on to the Grand Archives, which will be the last area to get our rings. Alright, so at the Grand Archives, once you've unlocked the big shortcut up to the top here, we will be able to go and find the last 2 rings. I will double check this once I've gotten them, just to make sure that they are the absolute last 2 rings, and that there's no DLC rings, you know. All base game rings have been achieved and gotten. So the first ring that you can grab is up here. It's in a small alcove just above. and then the next one is actually just located right below us. So if we run up these stairs, follow this area around in this little alcove here, as you'll see, we'll find the Lingering Dragon Crest Ring +2. And then if you actually drop down and come inside, do be careful not to get hit. Drop down carefully. It'll be in the last little lair area, so you can just drop down and then drop down safely one more time. And it is off over here to the back. Now this should be, once you pick up this ring, this should get you all of the trophies, if you haven't already gotten all of the endings and stuff like that. And yeah, so like I said, I'll double check to make sure that there's no rings left out, as there are a few just simple base ones that I didn't grab. But you'll see you'll have all of the +3 life rings, 4 of them in total. You'll have the Chloranthy rings. You won't have the +3 Havel ring, as that's not base game. You also won't have the +3 Ring of Favor, as it's not base game. You'll have all of the Steel Protections, I believe. Oh wait, no. You won't have the +3, as that's not base game. But you should have the +2s and +1s of most of, if not all of the normal rings here. If I don't have a base version, it's completely fine, as that's one of the items that you can always go back and get later on. It's just more or less about having either the +1s, +2s, or just simply if they only have a +1. Some don't even have that. As you'll see, I have a couple of some, but not of others. Then we have up to +2 for Gold Serpent Ring, and then up to +2 for Silver Serpent Ring, and then +2 for Lingering Dragon Crest, +2 for Sage. You will need, I believe there's one more Wolf Ring, and that's from the Abyss Watcher's Covenant. Then you'll have all of the 3 Lingering Evil Eyes. Then you'll have the Wood Grain Rings. Then I do believe that is pretty much it, besides just having the rest that are optional. Like I said, I will double check just to make sure. But this has been Mr. Pilgrim. I'll see you all in the next trophy guide.